Okay, welcome back. We are now ready to install some of the foundational tools that we're going to need onto our Jumpbox in order for us to get started and proceed. So I've already logged in to the Jumpbox, and the script that we're going to run is this O2 operator prereqs. However, this does not exist on our Jumpbox, so we once again are going to want to clone that repository from github.com/nycpivot/aria operations. Okay, so once that is done, I'm going to run this script and talk about what it's installing while it runs. This is going to take somewhere between five to 10 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and start that. One of the things I should have mentioned in the beginning when we created this Jumpbox in the first place is that this is an Ubuntu OS. So unfortunately, few commands therefore will need to be modified if you've chosen another distribution or you're running it on your local Mac. I haven't had the chance to test this on those environments. So let's run through the steps of what's going on here. So first of all, we're doing an update of the packages on our brand new VM, which is always a good thing to do. Next, we'll need the Docker. We'll need to install Docker because we're going to have to log into registries in order to import images out into our internal registry of choice. Then some of these miscellaneous tools are mandatory, some are not. Those that are mandatory will be the JQ CLI and the unzip for unzipping packages that we'll download from VMware. I don't remember if helm is necessary, but some of these are kind of like one-offs that I needed to do over the course of time to perform some isolated tasks here and there. Oh, the Python is to download the YQ CLI. So that's for YAML text, and this is for JSON text. Then we continue on with the miscellaneous tools. Crew has some pretty good tools, useful tools. If you're frequently working in Kubernetes clusters, we don't really need those. Then we get to the foundational tools that I talked about, AWS CLI, AWS Authenticator, and the eksctl. Now, I can't remember why I chose Authenticator here as this project evolved. Some things were necessary in the beginning, but then some things were not. And I just didn't update this script file. Obviously, we need the AWS CLI, and you'll need an account, as we talked about before. The eksctl is a tool for not just spinning up EKS clusters, but also creating the environment in which they'll run, such as the VPC, the subnets, and the gateways, and all of that, all of those network goodies in there. I don't use that either. This is one of those cases where I did use it in the beginning, but when I introduced TMC, Tanzu Mission Control, to spin up the clusters, I think I only used this CTL for attaching an OIDC, Open Identity Connect provider, to our EKS cluster, and we'll see that in that video. Okay, then comes the Azure CLI. Now, if you're unable to access an Azure account and AWS is all that you have, then you probably want to just comment out this code and create the cluster that we're going to create on AKS, and just create that cluster in AWS. So we'll have 4 clusters in AWS, whereas in this setup, we're going to have 3 in AWS and 1 in Azure. Then we need kubectl, istio-ctl, some extras here, .NET SDK. This was, again, one of those one-offs. You'll have to just bear with me with some of these things. I'm afraid to take these out just in case they are needed, because having them in here does no harm anyway. Demo Magic is a really useful tool for typing out prefabricated commands. This is great when you are demoing things to people, hence the name, right? And it's great for getting through a demonstration, so you're not fumbling around with the keyboard and misspelling commands and so on. Now, the GitHub CLI is not necessary for our purposes. I'll usually download this and use the GitHub CLI when I am setting up a GitOps environment, a GitOps installation of our Tanzu application platform. That's what this Git token and all of this stuff is here. And then finally, which is something that we might get to in this series, is the external secrets operator, which is just a kind of relatively new way of creating Kubernetes secrets based on external key vaults and stuff. Like in AWS, we've got Secrets Manager, and in Azure, we've got Key Vault, and so on and so forth. HashiCorp, whatever the case might be, this operator will poll those stores and create Kubernetes secrets for us. And that is pretty much it. Then we're done, and then we're going to just do a clean reboot of everything and start from there. So we'll come back once this script has finished. Okay, we're back, and all of the packages seem to have installed successfully, and now the machine has rebooted itself. And so the next step here, as you can see in my instructions here in wizard style formatting, we're going to execute this script, which is going to be responsible for installing all of the Tanzu packages, okay, that we'll need, CLIs and importing images and so on. So in that video, we'll look forward to seeing you there.